Hello, my name is Cathal Spelman. I'm from Fairmoney.ie, and I'm joined today by Anthony Migchels, who's the founder of the Florijn complementary currency in the Netherlands. So Fairmoney.ie is a plan and a project to implement the same kind of system that exists in the Netherlands with the Florijn, which is a complementary currency. And we just going to talk today briefly a little bit about what the benefits of such a currency are. So you're very welcome, Anthony.
Good to be with you, Cathal.
Very good. So, so complementary currency. If you could just explain a little bit about, kind of how money works in the world today, and how that it's far from ideal. And how a complementary currency such as you have devised and implemented with the Florijn, how that can benefit people. So I suppose, first of all, what's the need for it? I mean, what's wrong with what we have, if you like?
Yeah, that's of course a big question. So I'm going to keep it really brief, but we have a very unstable and also predatory financial system, which is all based on interest-bearing loans, inflations, deflations, which are all mechanisms that strongly redistribute from the productive classes, which is entrepreneurs and the working people, to the moneyed classes. Because if you have money, you can make money with money, and you don't need to produce. You can just invest your money, and this leads to all sorts of cost for capital, so usury and rents and all the this stuff, and this raises prices, redistributes, as I said, from the productive classes to the moneyed classes. And it's also very unstable because we're now faced with a huge debt situation. The West is facing, in the years ahead, an unbelievable debt crisis. It's going to be 2008 all over and worse. And this is not the first time. We've had all sorts of banking crises throughout history. So it's really high time that we start innovating and doing something about it, both to lower the immense costs of the financial system and its glaring instability and also injustice, basically. So we can make much better money that serves the 90 to 99%, because all this cost for capital is a redistribution from the bottom 90% of society to the richest 10%, and half of all cost for capital, including usury, goes to the 0.01% richest people in the world. And this is just a huge pyramid and a huge wealth and power concentration, and which is simply unacceptable, really. And that's what monetary reform is all about. We need much better money. We need interest-free money. We need money that serves production, and not this money grabbing with money, making money with money.
Okay. So for us ordinary people, the system as we have it today, it's unstable because of the huge debt burdens within it, and also in our everyday lives, regardless of even if the system isn't collapsing at that particular moment, it still works against us in that it makes our lives more difficult.
Far more so, yeah.
Than they ought to be, just by the operation of the system, because the way it works is it transfers wealth away from most of us towards a very small number who preside over the existing system. Okay. Yeah. So then how could so what's this idea of a complementary currency, and how would that help us?
Yeah, so there have been throughout history all sorts of initiatives to improve our money. So there have been proposals on a national scale. So because it's quite obvious that governments should be creating decent money supplies. What we have now is a private banking cartel that organizes the money supplies of the world. And that is then associated with things that I just mentioned. But government basically should be creating a money supply based on interest-free credit for normal people, for normal business ventures, and also for its own financing needs, because a state that is indebted you know, 100% of GDP to a banking cartel has lost its sovereignty. That's a really very basic fact of life, and there's a really very great danger to democracy. And so we need better money, but the state for some reason refuses to improve the money situation, and so we have to do it ourselves. We have to do it from the market, and that's where complementary currencies come in. So throughout history, you've had all sorts of complementary currencies. In the 30s, during the Great Depression, you had a number of very promising initiatives in Austria, in Switzerland, in Germany, and
one of those actually has survived up until today, hasn't it?
Exactly, that's the Swiss weir, the weir in Switzerland, and they to this day turn over about 2 billion per year in a mutual credit kind-based system with about 60,000 businesses participating, which has done
that's quite significant. That's 60,000 businesses in what's it's not a terribly big country in terms of population. So 60,000 businesses participating in what's sometimes referred to as a complementary currency. And that one, the Swiss veer, works as what's called mutual credit. Yeah. So how does that work for those businesses?
Yeah, it means that you can get interest-free, or I should say low interest rate credit. They have about 1 billion in credit outstanding, and many businesses have said that they wouldn't have survived 1 or 2 recessions without the extra liquidity that the veer provided them with. Yes. Because that's what you do with a complementary currency. You create new money that circulates between the participants, and this is then a new form of working capital, which improves the liquidity of businesses, improves their access to credit, creates new turnover, because turnover remains within the network. And this is also a huge issue of our modern economies, that when you go to a multinational and spend your money there, the multinational, the outlet that you spend the money with, immediately repatriates 2/3 of the turnover to its headquarters, and does spend only a small fraction of the turnover back into the local economy. This is a very little understood fact of life, but it's really very important. And so what you basically have with these major outlets is they come in, they open a shop there in the local community, and they start hoovering millions and millions out of the local economy, send it back to the headquarters, where it's used to service their own how do you call this, the cost of their operation of their headquarters, international suppliers, and of course their shareholders, very much so. Mm-hmm. And this money never returns into the local economy. They hire a few young people to manage the whole thing, and that's all. And if you spend with local business, then a lot more of the turnover remains in the local economy. But even then, if you spend €1 with a small business in your own vicinity, then these people will also spend a lot of their turnover at multinationals, and then the money still will leave the local community. Or well, if you spend a complementary currency with a local business person, then you are giving him a very strong incentive to indeed spend that money locally as well. So the money keeps working for you, and that's really a key reason why people should be paying with complementary currencies. The money keeps working for you, remains within your vicinity, as a result of which the chances that it returns to you in terms of income, turnover, whatever, is really much bigger. So we keep money in the local economy, and as long as it circulates in the local economy, it keeps creating turnover and wealth for everybody involved.
Okay, so with a local currency like what we're talking about here, like the Florijn you have there in Fairmoney, which we propose to set up here, the difference between this and the euro is it's much less likely to leave the local economy, which benefits local businesses, and I suppose especially small to medium-sized businesses.
Yes, very much so.
Which helps to level the playing field for them. Okay. Yes. I suppose then that there's also benefits to people who don't necessarily have a business. because it's also good for everybody, I suppose, if the local economy is thriving.
Absolutely, and it's very important that we have thriving local communities, and if we don't want to end up as workers for multinationals, all of us, then we need strong local economies, vibrant local communities with strong services in all sorts of local communities, etc.
Yeah.
We've seen happening in Ireland also after the crunch, that many local services were disbanded for shortage of money. So that's a very bad thing. And
but also here in Ireland, I mean, at the present time, I think it's like 1/3 of people are employed by multinational corporations. That's possibly directly and indirectly, but I think it stands at 1/3, which is a huge amount. And I mean, it's fine as long as it goes on, but you are at the mercy of very big corporations who have got lots of other options aside from Ireland. So it's a sort of it's a bit of putting all of your eggs in one basket to rely on that. So what a complementary currency can potentially do here is strengthen the local economy and make it more robust. Okay, and maybe
that statistic of yours shows that 2/3 of the people work for small and medium business, so they have a very, very strong interest in complementary currencies enhancing the position of these smaller firms. So,
well, I'd say it's probably 1/3, 1/3. I said there's another third working for the government.
Yeah.
So then there'd be a third. Then there'd be a third working for small and medium-sized businesses that are locally based businesses, which is still very significant, and it's probably the most neglected part of the economy. It's just taken for granted. So exactly. And what we're speaking about doing is going to especially help the local businesses, which is good for everybody. Even if somebody's working for the government or working for a multinational, it's still good if we have good, strong local economy and good, strong local businesses. So just wanted to ask you just a little bit, maybe just explain about the two different models of complementary currencies, the two types, and what you've done to create a hybrid.
Yeah, so the Florijn is not unique in the sense that it's a complementary currency, because people are doing that all over the place. In Britain, you have a couple of examples, like the British pound, the Bristol pound. Germany has dozens of local currencies. In France, there are dozens. So in Greece, after the crunch and after the euro crisis, and they were terribly hit, of course, by finance, and they have a complementary currency there now also to provide much needed liquidity, because there's always liquidity scarcity, especially in a financial crisis situation, which is also going to hit the West shortly here. Which
means, in plain man's English, that means not enough money to spend, not enough money going around in the economy, and then everything becomes harder. Yeah,
everybody's always talking about inflation, but what we're heading for is deflation. There's going to be a huge shortage of money in the economy in the years ahead. And,
which Irish people would, if anybody who remembers 2008, Irish people would remember that, which was pretty catastrophic deflation in the Irish economy. All of a sudden, banks were going bust, and there wasn't money for anything, and practically everything collapsed. Like the whole building industry collapsed, and we're still feeling the effects of that. We're still very much short of houses for people to live in as a result of that. Okay. So carrying on.
Let me answer the question, because the Florijn is not unique in the sense that it's a complementary currency, but it is very unique in the improvements that we have made in the basic design of this currency, because you have a couple of basic architectures for complementary currencies. I won't go too deep into it, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the fact that some of them can provide interest-free credit, and others can provide convertibility to euro, but never the twain shall meet, as they say, and this has been a huge limitation of all sorts of currencies, because they cannot provide the full scope of what you need of a modern, highly liquid complementary currency for the marketplace in the 21st century. And the Florijn is really the first currency in the world that provides seamless convertibility to euro, or whatever dominant banking unit which it circulates besides, and interest-free credit. So we can create all the money that the local community needs. Which we're doing it on a national scale here in Holland. We're proposing to do the same with Fairmoney in Ireland.
Yeah,
that's going to be for all of Ireland as well. But it's still a local currency because it's it really devolves from Europe and a big globalist situation to the Irish community, the Dutch community, and of course from international capital markets to small and medium business. So we provide a unit which provides interest-free credit and convertibility to euro, and then there are also a number of other features that much improve the completeness of the whole thing, because it's for both producers and consumers. That's very important. If you look at the Swiss Weir, which is highly successful and very admirable and a huge example for us all, it's for businesses only. So that's just a big limitation. It's also not convertible to Swiss franc, which is also a big limitation. But we are for businesses and consumers. We have also a very diverse range of payment systems. So we have paper money, we have payment by smartphone. You can pay online, like for purposes like that. And we're working on web shop integration now as we speak, so that's going to be available shortly as well. Okay. So we provide all the necessary payment systems, methods, that you need in the economy to be able to use the money. So it's really a very complete currency, and you can basically run an entire country on it. And what we're going to do in the years ahead is provide local businesses, but also local consumers with interest-free credit, with additional liquidity in a deflating monetary system.
Okay, so it could be very important. That's really, obviously, that's exciting. And so what we're doing here in Ireland is we're really we're piggybacking on the system that you've developed over quite a number of years with the Florijn, which is great for us here, because we don't have to reinvent the wheel. So I just wanted to go through a little bit with you, just focusing in on the benefits in the real life for people. So we just start with consumers. So the reason for consumers to get involved and to buy some units of Fairmoney once we've launched will be the fact that they will be able to buy them at a discount. So you can convert your euros to Fairmoney, and by the way, 1 unit of Fairmoney will equal €1 in terms of spending power. So you don't have to think, and it's not a different, from a point of view of when you're looking at prices, it's exactly the same. One unit of Fairmoney buys the same as €1, so the pricing is all the same, which keeps things simple. But when you want to convert as a consumer, if you want to convert your euros to Fairmoney and start using it, there'll be discount. Isn't that right? Yeah, so as you said, one Fairmoney is €1, and you can buy Fairmoney for 95 cents. So that's simply a 5% discount. So that's immediate added value for a consumer to buy local and pay with Fairmoney. And but that's only the beginning, because then when you spend the money, you can be sure that the person that you spend the money with, the business that you spend the money with, will be paying locally as well, instead of running off to a multinational and exporting the money. Okay. So you're really making sure that the money is also going to circulate far more in the local economy. I think it's 13 or 14 times more. €1 or 1 unit of Fairmoney will circulate 13 or 14 times more in the local economy than the other euros, which just so many of them just leave. Okay, so that's already a big benefit. There's the discount for the consumer, and the businesses, then local businesses and the local economy already benefits just by that alone. But there are further benefits, because looking at it then from the point of view of the businesses who are going to be, this money's going to be spent with them. Of course, they can spend it within the system itself, and they can and interestingly enough, it sort of works in many ways like a loyalty scheme, because once consumers have bought in, then they're going to search out the local businesses who are already participating. So in that way, it works with like a loyalty scheme. It's a very simple thing. Just by once people join, if the business is participating, people are going to seek them out. So that's already a benefit for businesses. Plus, then they can say again.
Go ahead, Kyle. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say they can spend then the extra income that they're making that they might not otherwise have made. They can spend that with other participating businesses on a one-to-one basis. The 1 unit of Fairmoney buys you the same as what a euro will buy, and you could just go spend it with other businesses. Just can you explain a little bit about how the convertibility works for businesses then, if they do want to exchange some of it back to euros?
Yeah, so the convertibility is created by making the unit tradable. So people can, businesses, not private people, not consumers, because you have two types of accounts, private people and business. But if you have a business account, you can convert your Fairmoney back. And the way you do this is simply you put it for sale on the online marketplace for conversion. And then people will buy this up, and the issuing organization, which is Fairmoney, will transfer the euros that you have received into their bank account. So we work like this here in the Netherlands, and we're constantly converting back, and in this way, and people are constantly buying on our exchange, because there's eternal demand for Florijn and Fairmoney, because it gives a 5% discount. In future also, because people will be paying off credit. That's another reason why there is eternal demand on the website, on the exchange. We have a long-standing experience with this now. We exchange back thousands and thousands every month. So and businesses can ask a maximum of 95 cents for their Fairmoney. In this way, when they convert back, this gives them a clear incentive to also try keep money in the local economy by spending it, because if they spend it, they get full value. Yeah. But if they convert back, they lose 5%, and in this way, when they do this, they pay basically for the 5% discount that the consumers get at the front end when they enter the system by buying Fairmoney. So. Yeah, that's how it works, and yeah,
and that's a very important innovation, because it allows businesses who perhaps they receive a lot of Fairmoney units, a popular business or something like that, but they may need to pay some invoices in euros, and some of their suppliers may not be at this point yet participating in our system. So then they have the opportunity to change some of their units back to euros. Now, obviously, we don't recommend a business to convert everything back, because that's kind of defeats the purpose of keeping the money circulating in the local economy with the participating businesses. But it does allow them, when they need to convert back, which allows because a lot of businesses that they have to pay off invoices. Maybe somebody's maybe a garage or a mechanic or anybody who has to buy parts and supplies in euros. Might have a need for euros that they have to satisfy by paying off invoices, and then they can convert some of what they get to euros.
You got to be realistic. Sometimes you simply have more of the currency than you can spend viably in the network. So yeah, obviously you want to get rid of it then, and that's what we provide with this marketplace for conversion.
Very
so
good. Very good.
Yeah, so even better is spending it, but yeah.
Yeah, excellent. So I just want to ask you then just quickly about the interest-free credit, the low-cost credit. How does that work? It's called mutual credit. So how will that work for participating businesses?
Yeah, so we can create money simply by double entry bookkeeping, just as banks do, but then without interest on the loan. It's just a very low cost loan, and it can be used to be spent in the network. So you get the loan in Fairmoney, and if you can then use that for investments for your own business by spending in the local economy, then we can finance that interest-free at very low cost. So that's obviously very important. Will be even much more important in the years ahead with the coming debt crises. And Yeah, that's a huge feature of what we're doing in Holland. We're now starting up our interest-free credit facilities, and the first loan that we're going to do is for a farmer who needs improvements in a stable of his, and so you know, not nothing. It's something like 20K that we're going to do, and he's going to get this interest free, and he's going to pay it off with turnover that he previously didn't have, because we have new customers for him, and that's already
Okay.
so
So
much
yeah,
turnover that he
so
can
this is,
finance this.
yeah. So this is a very interesting developments. And we might just to cover the idea of costs, because I mean, what we're talking about with this interest-free credit is it's implementing what you could call monetary reform, because a lot of people have been calling for something like this, but this is a practical implementation of it. But on the practical side, I just want to talk about the costs for the people who are using the system. So you've got consumers who will be converting euros into Fairmoney. Obviously, they have an incentive to do so because they get a 5% discount on their purchases by doing so. But are there costs to them to participate?
Not for private people, no.
Okay.
And for businesses, they can join for free as well. But once they start turning over, they'll start paying a very small fee with a maximum of a tenner per month. So, but here in Holland, with the Florijn, we only take this full 10 per month when you turn over 10,000 per year or more. So, yeah, that's really ultra low cost by any measure.
Okay.
So
once a business is turning over 10,000 euros per year in Fairmoney, in our currency, no, we're not talking about their general turnover, but once they're active with us and they're successful with us, at that point, then they'll be paying a maximum of 10 euros a month.
Fairmoney per month.
120 euros a year maximum. And then if they are accessing credit, are there further charges for the credit?
Yeah, there are some costs associated with the credit, but also very small, very low fees compared to interest payments to a bank.
Okay, so it's not an interest payment, but there is a fee.
Yeah, you know, there are costs involved, and yeah, we obviously need to get these costs back from people who are take the credit, but it's like I said, it's a fraction of the cost of interest payments to a bank.
Okay, all right. So it's not an interest payment as such, but there is a small fee depending on the amount taken.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Very good. Well, that's a very interesting. This is what we're the system that we're wanting to implement here in Ireland, and so I just did want to just stress on the cost side of it that for consumers who are going to join, there's no cost. For businesses who are joining, there is also no cost until at some point in the future they'll have a significant turnover, so the businesses can expect in the first year or two that there won't be any costs whatsoever. Okay, all right, so just to make that clear.
Yeah, and of course, you know, the operation is run by a not-for-profit entity. Yeah, so we are not interested in some kind of business venture to strike rich, to put it that way. And no, the Florijn is exploited by the foundation Florijn, the Netherlands. So that's a not-for-profit entity. And what's the name again of the kind of construct that you have in mind for Ireland?
Well, in Ireland, there's a what do we call it? A company limited by guarantee. So
yeah, exactly.
It's a not-for-profit vehicle, which is how we'll be setting things up in Ireland. To do the same thing, so it'll be not for profit. I mean, eventually at some point in the future, some of the administrators will be paid within the currency itself. They won't be paid in euros, but they'll be paid in Fairmoney. But that's down the line. For the moment, while we're getting things going, it's all on a volunteer basis, and extra volunteers are more than welcome to join as well. So we're in the launch phase here in Ireland. We're working very closely with Anthony to make this a reality, give people an option to have this kind of currency, which is it's very much cutting edge in terms of putting into action things, a lot of things that people have said really ought to be. but have not been. So, and what Anthony has done is he's brought together a number of currency models and made a hybrid out of them that does things that were previously not possible. Also, Anthony, I just wanted to stress something you mentioned before about the usability of the system. Anybody who opens an account, it really only takes minutes, and that will be an online account. So if you make a purchase, you can just contact the person you're buying from and you can transfer the funds to them. It's a little bit like making a transfer from your bank account to their bank account, but it's much more simple. It's not as much rigmarole, but it's a little bit similar to that. You've also in the Netherlands just introduced cash notes in the Florijn. We got them there. We won't do this right away in Ireland because it's a further cost, but we will be doing this. So these are the actual notes, so you can actually have a physical note in your hand. Some people would prefer that to using an online account, which you'll be able to go into participating businesses and just use it. And they are security notes. I mean, it functions like any other notes in that regard. And then I know you are doing some other things as well to improve the usability. You mentioned a couple of things at the beginning there. All of these we'll implement over time as well here in Ireland. So we're hoping that over the next few months, we're going to be ready to launch here in Ireland. At the moment, we're just wanting people to find out a little more, watch this video, share this video, and take a look at Fairmoney.ie. Fairmoney.ie. You can also go on there and you can go on the mailing list, and then that'll just keep you abreast of the developments. Also, if you're part of any kind of a group anywhere around Ireland, I'll be on the road over the next few months and happy to speak to groups large and small. And we will also, before I launch, we'll have Anthony over here to speak as well. So that's it. Is there anything you'd like to add, Anthony, about your experience, or just what people can expect from such an initiative over here in Ireland?
Yeah, it's all about goodwill, and who likes banking really, and we can do without. And without, that's maybe a little easy to say, but we need alternatives very much so, and we need to become less dependent on this system. And as I said, we're facing economic upheaval, and we're also of course concerned about things like CBDC, etc. And
central bank digital currencies, which will be used. They'll be using this blockchain, but I think people don't necessarily realize about blockchain is that with blockchain type technology, every single transaction is recorded. So you don't have much privacy under such a system.
So there are very real concerns, and we can complain about politicians, but we need to be active. We need to create alternatives. And that's what we're doing.
And that's what's so attractive about what you've done there in the Netherlands. I mean, talk is cheap, but actually taking good ideas and implementing them requires energy. But obviously it's a positive thing. It's not a question of saying, oh, this is wrong and that's wrong, and those we do need to be aware of those things, but it's also by far the most powerful thing is to do the right thing. Exactly. And certainly that's been my conclusion looking at you and other alternatives, is that this is the right thing to do at this time. Because I mean, we did speak about it a little bit in the beginning, but the need is very real. Like we can talk about things like cost for credit and liquidity and things like that, and it might seem a little bit distant for people. But cost for credit means that your house costs really 4 times more than it ought to, because I mean, when you buy the house in the first place, it's costing twice as much because of all the interest charges that have been paid by the builders and developers along the supply chain. Plus, then when you take out the mortgage, even at 5% over 30 years, the amount you pay back is double the amount you paid. So that's actually 4 times the actual cost. So this is how it impacts in our lives, and then we wonder, why money is scarce. So these are really real impacts. And
very much so.
This is a real initiative to do things right. So it's a very exciting thing to do, and it's something that we can do. Thank to Anthony for actually developing the initiative. and putting it into implementation there. So it's just something we can copy here in Ireland, and with Anthony's help. So if you'd like to get involved, we've got a very good system that's being tried and tested, and we've got Anthony's team there helping us to implement it properly here in Ireland, so we can really get off to a fast start. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you'll like to get involved. Okay, Anthony, we'll leave it at that, and thank you very much for joining us.
And you, Cathal.